going to fly out there to deal with the sword kid who cut his leg off. Jeez Louise.
Wonderful video.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that caught me off guard. I laughed so hard. But he was going to go out there, but he was going to make fun of him, right? Like what? I know, like, his girlfriend didn't want him to do it because he used to be a sensitive guy who cried. You know, he cried when he said he loved her the first time. And then so why would he make fun of the kid at the interview?
So it seemed to me that his discussion with his girlfriend was more like she was accusing him of making fun of him. And it seems like he was defending it. It's like, no, honey, I'm just going to be interviewing him and everyone's just going to love his answers and he's not even going to realize that it's making fun of him because he takes it seriously kind of thing. I think that's what's going on here. Like, I don't think he intended to directly mock him in interview. I think it was like, so tell me again what the aliens did to you, sir. You know, and then, someone tells you about their alien abduction and everyone listening just giggles. And so, I think that was just the vibe I kind of got. It wasn't so clear cut.
And then he was big enough to have Oprah be chosen over Oprah.
I didn't really get the context of that. But did this kid really choose to have him come fly to Canada to interview him instead of the kid getting flown to wherever Oprah films?
Maybe he was hot at the time, so he figured, hey, I'll go on this guy's show.
Oh, you know what? Wait, because the dude in the YouTube video who cut off his own leg, he was like a 20-something. He probably just relates better to his 30-some-year-old podcaster.
The Nazi party?
The Nazi party, right.
And then he shows up and the kid had killed himself, and Justin Long's annoyed, not that the guy is dead, but that the fact that he flew out to Canada for nothing.
Well, why? To be fair, if the kid's like, yeah, come interview me, you'd think the kid would be excited about it. That is not the time to get somber and self-loathing.
Do you think Justin Long's almost the perfect person to cast? Because he can be super unlikable, but then he's not. It's a weird thing with Justin Long. Like, he's a jerk, but then you're also kind of like, I like this guy just because it's Justin Long. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but at the same time, he was like a deliciously despicable character. He was despicable in a way that I enjoy watching. I don't know how to put it, but maybe that's because we never really see him doing the things that got his girlfriend to say how much he changed for the worst. We're just seeing him, his drive, a little self-interest here, of course. Well, a lot of self-interest, but his drive for the podcast, his drive for the success of it. We never get to see him really doing his job. And maybe if we did, we wouldn't like him.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because she seems to be reacting to how he treats the subjects of his show.
Got it. What do you think about his interaction with the Colleens at the Quick Stop?
That's another one of those scenes where I half liked it and half disliked it. He was being a deliciously despicable dude, and it's the girl characters. Those two actresses, like, I feel like 50% of their time I really liked their one-liner, and the other 50% of the time I didn't like their reactions.
Yeah, that was Johnny Depp's daughter and Kevin Smith's daughter. Harley Quinn Smith and Lily Depp Rose.
Right. This is prequeling their yoga hosers, right?
Yeah, because they got famous from that, and then yoga hosers, and then they battle like Nazi sausages.
Such a weird movie.
Demons and more Johnny Depp. I guess I kind of like their droll. Like but I guess I really like Justin Long's delivery in a couple of those scenes. Just the way he talked to him. I kind of dug that.
Yeah, very dismissive. Very short with them.
I think the way he got to that guy's house felt pretty organic, right? He felt he probably didn't consider the fact that he was driving out to the middle of nowhere. He needed a scoop. He didn't want to waste his money. So I guess it felt like an organic way to get him to that house.
Yeah.
I mean, when you read that, you're like, oh, I get it. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So how about this? Let's take a break. And when we get back, we'll talk about Michael Parks and a dude being sewn into a walrus. Sound good?
Done.
Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks, and I learned something about you, John, on the break, and that you are a serial killer.
Uh-oh. Does it have to do with my cereal eating habits?
Yes. What a bad joke in this movie. I like it. It's a groaner. Like that.
It is a groaner. It's very dad jokish.
Like the stoner who ate all the cereal at the A to Z.
Yeah.
Now listen. We have a ton of questions here, so let's knock out these questions, and then we'll get into the walrus bit. How's that sound?
All right.
So Adam Hodgins, who is a frequent contributor, a guest on the podcast. He's been on a whole bunch of Icebreaker, Peter Rabbit. Yeah, there's a ton of episodes. Cliffhanger. But yeah, so he asked us a question, and he put, does this make you want to visit Canada more? Yeah.
I'd say there's not enough data. All I have is a very friendly customs agent. Otherwise, I don't really know anything about Canada from this movie.
Now, I've worked in Toronto. I love that. So, I mean, shoot, I'll go back any day of the week. I mean, I'm just not going to go to anyone's home in the middle of nowhere who wants me to dress up as a walrus twice a week. Or twice a day. Once a day for 2 hours.
I mean, I don't know if that's a trend of Canada. If that's a trend of Canada, then I don't want to go to Canada.
Well, I guess that would be normal then, right? I mean, how big is the house?
That's
how
a
many
big
roommates
house.
are there? Like, if there's 8 people in the house and they're each, so 24, like, so when he's awake, let's say he's awake 16 hours out of the day. You have 8 people living there. So all 8 people are dressing up for 2 hours a day. So then
It's a weird household, Mark.
But then you know that there are, like, other people there, right? And there's been other people who were there before, and they're like, oh, yeah, I got enough money to get my own apartment. It was a good time. Would you do it if you knew that it was totally normal, beautiful house, just 2 hours a day?
There's nothing totally normal about this.
But you could watch a movie. You could just hang out, watch a movie.
I guess there is the appeal that, yeah, like, you don't have to work much.
And he's not going to shovel you full of fish. Like, you don't have to eat raw fish. You just got to go "Rrr, rrr," occasionally.
I mean, it's pretty weird, but I guess, like, if I didn't have, like, a good job, maybe I'd have to be all over that.
I mean, let's say you live in a big city and you're saving $1,500, a month on rent.
Oh, that's right, man. I could go down on a house. You're starting to make this sound more appealing.
All right.
I'm not lying. You're making this sound more appealing.
I mean, I still wouldn't do it.
If you have student loans, this is the way to go. Then you can make double payments, get that. Everyone's like, I'm doing the minimum payment. Dude, you're going to pay 8 times your student loans if you do that. You got to go live as a walrus for 2 hours a day, knock out those student loan payments, get your credit in order. Yeah, I see it.
If I owed a guy named Vinny money, I'll just say, listen, I'm going to go into this house. I'm going to live as a walrus. I don't have to pay rent. That means I get you an extra $1,000 a month. I'll pay my debts. And then Vinny's like, I like it. I'm still charging you interest.
But Vinny's going to go overboard with it. He's going to be like, well, if that's true, I'm just going to kidnap you and drop you in the zoo, and what are you going to pay me off in 2 days?
Wait, you can either get all the money in a year or none of the money in 2 days.
But he's saying that if you were a walrus 24/7 in the zoo, he'd get paid even faster. I'm going to take you to the zoo. I'm going to drop you in there with the walruses. You're going to pay me off 12 times faster.
And then I'm going to shake down the ticket box. And then all the people up front then the zoo's got to give me money because I got a walrus here.
Yeah, those penguins owe me 2 points on the big.
He just starts dressing people up in a little animal, like, animal onesies and throwing them in the zoo.
He keeps, like, checking his bank account. He's like, why isn't this going up?
Why aren't you making me money?
I knew I shouldn't trust the internets.
Yeah. All right, Adam's next question is this the best walrus movie?
Okay, so I wrote down that question, as I wrote down all the questions before I did my research, and my answer to that question is a question mark. It's like, I looked up, I didn't find any. There's a movie called Walrus that has nothing to do with walruses that I'm aware. And then when I even did like walruses and cartoons, all the answers that came up, I'm like, there was a walrus in that? Like, I got nothing.
It's like a 51st Dates walrus. Like, that's not a movie about walruses, but it features a walrus.
Okay, well, at least you just named another movie with a walrus, so.
This movie is like, yeah, I mean, all right. It's not about a walrus, but it's centered around walruses, so it has to be.
Well, okay, so there is not an actual walrus in the movie, but the movie is in fact about a walrus. It's about the walrus that our antagonists had a very intimate interaction with, being stranded and
6 months.
Yeah,
with Mr. Tusk.
So I mean, it's about a walrus. It's just not starring a walrus.
So I would say it's the best movie that talks a lot about walruses. What do you think?
It's a shame there wasn't a walrus that I recall in The Lighthouse.
I feel like it'd be easier to just capture a walrus than to be a serial killer and build that tank.
Well, I mean, walruses are very heavy.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's transporting this walrus. You're not just bonking it on the head and dragging it home.
I mean, he has enough money to travel the country kidnapping people than sewing them together. Right?
People are a lot easier to transport in the trunk of a car.
Get a baby walrus.
Get a baby and then raise it?
Yeah. right? What do you think?
That would be easier. That would be easy. Is he getting this baby walrus from an area where there are baby walruses, and thus he might be attacked by parent full-size walruses in the process?
Just sprinting from them? No, at black market.
I want to see this short film.
So basically, he gets a hold of a zoo, and they're having these walruses mate, and one of the walruses mate, and they have a baby. But then somehow that baby disappears because Vinny got him. And then Vinny delivers it to Michael Parks.
Because Vinny was like the vet tech at the zoo, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, that's easier than killing 23 people.
This is much more credible. But on that note, I now feel like I want to see an anthology movie that explores little vignettes like this idea here.
What if?
Well, but only what ifs that spring off of discussion from the movie Tusk, though.
Oh. I could write.
See what I mean? So, like, this is one of them. It's like this would be a prequel to if he did it with a real walrus, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I want to see the 6 months he's hanging out with the walrus.
Right there. That can be one of them, right?
This should be a new Disney Plus TV show.
A new Disney, and maybe like there's a one that kind of montages all of his early failures with the people who ended up dead at the bottom of that tank. But maybe it's like it's more of a character piece where you're, instead of just like all the people dying in the tank, you see something that went horribly wrong throughout the process leading up to that with each of a few different people on one of the vignettes.
Oh. Do you think he was married? Do you think he was married twice?
I think that he got divorced because she's like, you just spend too much time with those walruses.
Yeah. And she apparently farted a lot.
Right. She farted a lot.
I love his flatulence gags in this.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. But I'm like, okay, he's a kooky old guy. I'm cool with that.
Wet your whistle, you dry little thistle.
That was weird. When he said that, though, that felt almost perverse.
Yeah. He made it work, though, right?
He said a lot of things that were like, it really was on the cusp of like, is that perverse or is he just so weird?
Yeah,
right?
Does he say I'm a naughty boy?
Yes, he did. Oh, I'm a naughty boy. Yeah, he says some weird things. Yeah.
And he has that weird stuff in his bathroom?
Yes.
So does he want another walrus, or is he just a serial killer?
What if that's just kind of like, I'm going Mindhunters now, right? Like that show Mindhunters. What if this is really his fixation, right? This is his sexual deviance that is kind of like the psychological focus of his murders. But without this psychological focus, he will not gain satisfaction from the murder itself.
Yeah. So
he needs that. And what I said will really only make sense if you're really into true crime or you've seen Mindhunters or you watch a lot of movies about like psychological thriller stuff, because I don't know this stuff. I'm just regurgitating something from the show. But it's like he won't get any satisfaction from the kills unless he lives this fantasy first.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that seems to me. And I never thought of that until you just brought this question up, by the way.
Yeah. Like, right? Like, that's got to be somewhere in there. I don't know.
Because we even see when he gives the ultimatum, well, not an ultimatum, but it's kind of an ultimatum when he says, it's like, and now we will fight. And either I will kill you or you will become the walrus and you will defeat me. But if I kill you, you'll be dead. And if you kill me, then you'll be here all alone. And so he seems like he's crazy, but only when he's starting to lose does he turn into, well, hold on. This is a fantasy, not a reality for me. I'm getting the hell out of here. And then it goes bad for him.
Do you think he used to just dress them up in onesies and then they got more intricate as he went along?
They're definitely so that's part of the reason that I want this anthology, right? Because yeah, clearly they started out simpler. Clearly he didn't reach this stitching together flesh suit of a walrus, or maybe early iterations of him just looked crappy. Maybe earlier on he wasn't as good at amputating legs and people died of secondary infections or blood loss. We see that he cut off one leg at first. Is that because he takes pleasure in the slow process, or is it because he learned that he's not good enough or doesn't have the facility, medically speaking, to take off two legs at once? It's too high risk of losing your person. He needs to then feed them, let them get their strength back, build up their blood volume again, build up their immune system again. Now we're going to take the other leg. Like, what is the – so I'm sure there are a lot of things in this process. Just imagine – if he's pulled in more than one person with this weird advertisement over urinals and a Canuck bar, like what if we saw an earlier version of him doing this little spiel, which is an act. fact that
Yeah.
he had to